Hello everyone and welcome to my world. It's time for the Q&A. I have so many questions. I mean, that's a lot of questions I got. Thank you for your suggestions for the questions. So let's get started with the first one, shall we? Favorite game? It's sort of an easy one to answer that. Favorite game? It is definitely Metal Gear Solid. I just love that game. First time I played it was about a year after it came out, because my brother bought it for himself, and I think he played it, and I think it took him about nearly 8 months, I think it is, he said, to complete it. I completed it in 2 months, and it's already on that part. Most people might think, oh, because I beat it that I didn't enjoy it. No, I enjoyed a lot of it. I've been playing it again and again. I've actually made, as you know, a playathon with that series, so things like that. And whenever I just want a game just to relax and unwind, that's the go-to game, because it's just one of my favourite games of all. There are a few others there, but top of the list, it's always Metal Gear Solid. Next question. Favorite console? Favorite console? I'm gonna have to say the PlayStation 2 on that one, mostly because I grew up in the I started gaming when I was 3, but the first one was the Amiga. Then I had a Master System. Then I went on straight to the PlayStation 1, and there was a few good games on the PlayStation 1, but I think the PlayStation 2 is the best one, because that has so many great games, so many great enjoyments. It's one of my favorite consoles. I mean, I do like playing on like the modern consoles, or even varieties, like PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, things like that, but PlayStation 2 is always going to be the best console for me. Next question. Favorite film? That's actually a bit of a tough one, that favorite film, because there are so many I actually like, but I think the main one I love and will always watch even if it's like halfway through the film, I'll watch it until the end. It's going to be Jaws, because it's been my favorite film, because everything about that film just adds to sort of the tension, sort of what it does. I mean, there's films that have done that, like, say, for example, Alien, that does the exact same thing, but for Alien, it's like all of that fear is in the dark. That's common. Jaws, all that fear is in the broad daylight, and that just adds something nothing else adds, does it? Because you can obviously think, right, adding horror to darkness, that will amplify it, but have you ever thought of adding horror to the light? It's only Jaws that I know has done that. There have been other films that can do that, but Jaws has been the top of the list. And obviously there's always the memorable moments. Certain films have like the one-liners, the chemistry between the actors, because, like, say for example, Hooper and not Brody, Quint, that was it, because the actors portraying them, Richard Dreyfuss and Richard Shaw, I think it was, they hated each other in real life, and that on off-air chemistry, off-air hatred, I should say, added on-air chemistry between them, which is something you can't do in the real world, can you? So yeah, Jaws, my favorite film. I could go on about that film for years. Next question. Favorite band? That's actually a tough one, because I actually have a variety of favorite bands. I mean, if I could go, like, say, top 3, like the 3 I majorly listen to, it's between Metallica, Disturbed and Slipknot, because out of all those three, each one adds something different to the music genre. Like, it's hard to describe because everyone has their own way of saying it. Like, some people might say like, oh, this band, it's metal, that band's also metal, and that one's also metal, but it's like, oh, that one's famous for, you know, just doing this, that one's famous for screaming, that one's famous for having Halloween masks, things like that. But to me, each one delivers something different in like the tone of the music, the intensity of the music, things like that. Something I personally cannot fully describe why, I'm not saying it like a cop-out, things like that. It's just, that is a hard thing to actually describe, because like I'm trying to think how to put it. Like Slipknot's I'm trying to think of Wait and Bleed, for example, that has intensity, that has like anger, that has like drive on it. Then you got Disturbed. Each one is different, because some of them are like, say for example, Are You Ready? That's one of their latest songs. It's like pumping you up for combat, pumping you up for war, things like that. And then you got things like, say, Metallica. I'm trying to think of one. The Unforgiven, for example. That one's sort of like mellow. It's sort of like depressive, but what it sort of adds pain to that depression. Something that is in your heart. It feels like you're fighting a battle, and you need something to turn the tide, and that song delivers it. It's just, like I said, it's hard to explain. That's the only way I can put it. So yeah, Metallica, Disturbed, and Slipknot, they're the main three I listen to. But out of all three, if I choose one to listen like constantly, that, like I said, it'd be a hard one to pick. So that's why I picked all three. Sorry if it's a cop out, but yeah, what can you do? Favorite anime. Favorite anime, that's pretty much an easy one for me. It has to be Dragon Ball Z, because when I first saw the trailer for it, it had like intensity music. It showed like all the scenes, but they were like sped up into like, I can't think what speed it was. I'm not going to say ×2. I think it was like ×0.25, something like that. So it felt quicker, and it felt like intense. It felt like, right, this is a show going to be interesting. And then after that, it was sort of like, obviously they slowed the footage down from what the trailer showed. And I actually remember when I was watching that, a few of my friends at the time at school actually said that they hated that, because it was sort of like the advert pumped it up, and then when you watch the show, it's like, why did they slow it down? Why couldn't they do the same thing the advert did? And I said, that's the point of the advert. The advert was to build it up, was to make it big. If an advert can do that, then obviously, and you don't like the show, then obviously you must prefer the advert over the show, things like that. And some people have done that over the years, because even I'll admit, I've seen some adverts for like trailers, and I think, oh, that looks good, and then when I watch the actual film, I think that's a piece of shit. And it's sort of like, I can't explain that. It's what we're like as human beings. But yeah, since Dragon Ball Z has been the main favorite anime, I've had other shows come along that sort of like, I wouldn't say delivered the same intensity or enjoyment as Dragon Ball Z did, but it's just like, Dragon Ball Z was the very first anime I watched, because after that I watched Pokemon for the first time. I watched Digimon. I watched a lot of other shows, because that was when the anime craze did pick up, and over the years new animes have come in, like adult-based anime like High School of the Dead and High School DxD, things like that, but they each have their own like flair to it. But Dragon Ball Z all the way. I mean, I even have the games that they do. I'm even like starting to collect the movies because I just enjoyed it so much. Next question. Favorite car? Now this is going to show my age on this one because I actually have majority 2 favorite cars, but there's always one that tops above it. But I'll start with the second favorite one, which is the Lancia Delta Integrale. First time I saw that was when I was watching a lot of rallying shows, and I see this car like gliding across the road and like doing like hairpins. It was like, it looked flawless. It just looked absolutely fantastic. And there were other cars as well, like the Toyota. There was some Subarus as well, things like that. But and even Fords as well. But the Lancia added passion to it. It just did something you couldn't put your finger on. But the favorite car I like is the Ford Sierra Cosworth, and that's, like I said, that shows my age because the first time I saw that was again when I was 3 years old. It was 1990, British Touring Cars. The race was Thruxton, and it was because I actually know that track from watching British Touring Cars. And the one, it's like a sweeping corner. I always forget the name of it, but it's known for shredding tires because it's like, you go flat out, you turn, you're sort of wearing the tire down without a problem. You know, it will shred the tire to bits because you're putting too much. It's hard to explain the science of it because obviously I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can, but it's sort of like you're putting too much pressure on it. So sort of like you're doing this, you're leaning into the tire and you're sort of pushing so much force on that tire. You're doubling the load of that tire, as well as going at full speed. You've got a higher chance of that tire going. But that didn't matter because when I saw it, it was like the top car at the time was a BMW M3. Everyone always said, right, this is the car of the future, things like that. And these Ford Sierras were just blitzing past it. It was like it was in its own league. I thought that was the best looking car I'd ever seen. And since then, I've never looked back. And any racing game, if it doesn't have the Ford Sierra Cosworth in it, I'm like, right, this game, they don't know anything. You know, they don't know what a good car looks like. I mean, they have good cars, but it's like, no, you're missing the car. You know, that car made everyone think about other, you know, motorsports, because that could do not only like touring cars, it also did rallying. That's in a league of its own already. If it could do 2 sports when the majority of cars were only built for one, it says a lot, doesn't it? Next question. Favorite food and drink. This was 2 questions. I'll go start off by saying this was 2 different questions, but I put it as one just to make it a bit easier for all of us. So favorite food is obviously chocolate, majority because I love chocolate. And favorite drink, it's got to be Coke. Majority it'll be Pepsi brand, but I say Coke as in overall because it's just sort of like hard to describe. I know everyone always says, oh, there is a difference between Coke and Pepsi, things like that, but I just don't see the difference in taste. It tastes all the same. Now, if you gave me something like diet brand or no sugar brand, I can sort of tell the difference, but it's only minuscule, if that makes sense. Things like that. I might actually have to do a little challenge with that with a few of my friends. So yeah, Coke's Chocolate's my favourite food, and drink, it's obviously Coke. But if I could go for like main foods, like obviously whatever you want to put it as a whole, main food, burgers. I love burgers so much. Next question: game or games, as a little symbol there, that made you cry. That's actually a good one, that, because it's not often a game can make you cry, but I think there's only one that has always made me cry, and I'm hesitant to actually do this as a video because of what it, it's hard to explain because it hits you hard. And it's Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It's the end scene where Solid, Liquid Snake, not Liquid, what's it? Naked Snake, I should say, becomes Big Boss. He salutes, and he's got that one tear coming out. That always hits me because it's like, you just want a break because he had to, I'm not going to spoil the game, I should say. I'll end that there. But if you played the game, you know why he cried in it. But if you haven't, just check it out because it hurts. It hits you right here. Something that, is really hurtful. But good. I'm not saying good hurtful, if that makes sense. But it's sort of like it adds to the volume of the story to make you think, right, can I do something differently? But you can't, and for that, it always makes me cry. That one, Metal Gear Solid 3, the end. Next question: do you like PewDiePie? And if yes, what would you do if he gave a shout out? Do I like PewDiePie? No, I don't. And it's not because of like his N-word outbursts, things like that. I've actually watched 3 of his videos. They were all the Alien Isolation videos because I actually wanted to play the game, getting stuck on one section, and I thought, am I doing something wrong? So I actually typed in a walkthrough, and PewDiePie's was the first one that came up, and I thought, all right, what do I do? So I thought I'll watch it from the beginning to see if I've missed something. And in the end, I will say that it turned out that my game had a glitch. So all I could have done was just turn it off, turn it back on the next day, and the glitch would have been gone. That was it. It's just something as simple as that. But I thought, but in the end, I'm glad I'd sort of didn't turn it off, then turn it back on the next day, because I thought, right, being me, thinking, right, there's a problem with this game. I can't do it. I thought, I'm pretty sure this is where you have to go because there's no other way I could see it. So I thought, I'll look at the walkthrough, see if I've missed something, like, not saying picked up an item, things like that. It's not like, say, Resident Evil or Final Fantasy, things like that, where you have to pick up an item to do something. It's like, oh, shoot, I missed that item, things like that. But no, I thought, right. And then when he did it, and we went through, I thought, right, I must have a glitch. That's it. And then when I played it, I had a glitch. That was it. But in the end, when I watched the videos, I just didn't like it. I don't know. I can't explain why. I just didn't like it. It's just, to me, and I think the only way I can put it is like, he was trying too hard to be funny. And I say that nicely because everyone has told me about PewDiePie actually saying his videos are funny. And I thought, right, if it's funny, then he must actually work on his thing. And he just, maybe that was it. Maybe if I just didn't have that conversation with my friends saying, watch his videos because they're funny. If they just said, just watch his videos, I might have liked them, but I think because they said that they were funny, I was expecting them to be funny, and they weren't. It's not like, say, for example, the Achievement Hunter videos, because to me, I think they are funny. But if someone actually said to me, why do I like them? If I actually did say, I think they're funny, well, that's me. You know, I'm just doing the same thing they did with me. And even though I said no, what would I do if he gave me a shout out? Well, yeah, it's just one of them things. I can't say much. Give me a shout out. I wouldn't like acknowledge it, like, oh, thank you, you know, shake his hand or send him a message saying, oh, thank you very much. I'd be like, oh, you gave me a shout out. Good for you. Literally, because I just don't like him. I just really don't. Sorry if you like PewDiePie. I just don't like him. Where do you buy your games? Right. Oh boy. Do you know, I was expecting this one. Okay, I buy him variously, and I'm not saying that in like a bad way. I have, like, in my mind, a level system, and I'm actually going to put it in this way. Like, the first level, which is the lowest of the levels, is eBay and Amazon. I say eBay and Amazon because if I can't find it on Amazon or it's too pricey, I look on eBay and I'll see what they offer, or vice versa. If I find it on eBay, I think, right, that's too much for my blood, as the saying goes, I go on Amazon, and it's like between the two, 9 times out of the 10, one is cheaper than the other. I think, and I'm not saying like cheaper as in like, say, a penny off, you know, things like that. I mean, like, my definition of cheap is £5 or up. Anything with, like, saying if you're buying a game and it's $19.99 in one store and you go to the other store and you say it's $19.98, you wouldn't exactly say, oh, that's cheap. In my mind, it's like, right, they're both 20 quid, which in technicality sense they are. If one was like, say, $19.99 and the other one was $12.99, I'd say, right, that one's cheaper. That's where I'm sort of going with that one for eBay and Amazon. After that, it's game. Majority is game, because obviously game only stocks new stuff, and even then, I'm not saying game is bad or like that. Game, it's hard to explain because it's sort of like what game offer. Game is sort of, I'm going to say this, do the same thing as Amazon in a small way, because it's, you know, Amazon. Yeah, Amazon, I was going to say. Don't know why I said it like that, but yeah. It's exactly the same as Amazon, because it's sort of like everything is a set price. 9 times out of 10, it is cheaper than Amazon, or it is, in this case, Amazon can be more expensive. No, I mean more cheaper than game, but it's one of those things though, because, like, say for example, Steelbook editions, you know, game will have that Steelbook edition, whereas Amazon, they will have it, but they will shoot the price through the moon. It's like, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And it's sort of like, because best example I can give was what's that latest one? That's not Mortal Kombat. There was another one that came out, I can't remember what the game was, but the Steelbook edition for that on Amazon was £110, and I remember Game selling that and it was like 50 quid, and I thought, well, you know, that's no brainer for me. Game is easily the cheaper one of the two, so I'll go to Game and get it. After Game is Sainsbury's or Asda, but majority is Sainsbury's, and I say that because certain games in there can be cheaper. You wouldn't think of it, the supermarket selling cheap games, but they are just minorly cheap. You're looking like, as I said, like £5, or, you know, £5 or less, you know, things like that. It's that difference. Sometimes it's more than £5, because I remember one of the games I saw, it was about, I think, 65 quid in Game, and it was about 45 quid in Game in Sainsbury's, sorry. So it was sort of like, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? You go Sainsbury's. After that, it is CEX. I'm pretty sure there is an American version of the same store. I can't remember the name, but CEX is where I go for it. There is an American one, things like that. Yeah, CEX, that definitely sells like certain retro games, things like that. Again, if I can't find it on Amazon, or Amazon's prices are quite high, I'm using Amazon as an example, sorry, but I then go to CEX, and it's the same for game, because it's like, say for example, I want an Xbox 360 game. I know Game might sell it, and I say might using air quotes. If not, and I check Amazon. If Amazon does have it, but it's like, say, 30 quid, I thought, right, is that a good price or is that a bad price? I then go to CEX, and if they have it, then they have it. If they don't, but then like a few times the prices are significantly cheaper. Yeah, I'm cheap. I'm a cheap man, I will admit to that, saying cheap a lot. Yeah, and finally the main places I go, there's two places. It's Morecambe Games and Leeds Games. Now these are quite close together, you know, individually close. It's sort of like if one doesn't have it, then 9 times out of 10 the other one will have it, things like that. And Morecambe, it's not far from me. It's like about 15-20 minutes by train, you know, things like that. About a couple of hours walk. That's if I feel like walking, if the weather's nice, things like that. Maybe, I think it takes like about 30 to 45 minutes on the bus, traffic depending. So yeah, a majority of the games I have, like, you know, where I've bought things like NES, Mega Drive, PlayStation 1, 2, 4, Xbox 360, 1, even Super Nintendo games, Game Boy games, things like that. List is endless. Those two stores are always the top places I go. I even bought a lot of consoles from there, you know, like the Atari Jaguar, the Sega Game Gear, the Xbox One, the 360, Dreamcast, things like that. You know, those two places are always the places I go to, without a doubt. Okay, next question. How do I handle haters? I just ignore them. Just haters, that they try to bring you down, but all you need is good, strong mental ability. And majority of the time, people just say that I'm not worth anything. The best example I can give for that is when I was 6 years old. I got told that the best thing I can do in life was kill myself, and that was when I was in a religious school. And since then, I actually talked to, and that was, I'm going to say right now, that was from a nun. And literally after that, I told a priest that, or I can't remember, yeah, priest or father, whatever you want to call it. It's that long ago, I can't remember what they're called. And obviously, things like that, you know. Yeah, I'm not a religious person, I will admit, because of things like that. I actually told him that this person said the best thing I can do is kill myself, and his words were, well, if that's what she says, that's what God demands. And it was sort of like, what? You know, you can't say things like that to a young kid. It's like, I could just walk up to anybody, like I could walk up to a play park and I say, you are going to die a horrible death, you know, to a kid, and you know, that'll be very upsetting, wouldn't it? And since then, everything, when anyone says, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you know, things like that, I'm like, well, you're just saying that because I'm doing something you can't do, or you won't do, things like that. Because I actually had, when I started this, someone actually says, if you're trying to be like this guy, you're trying to be like that guy, stop being like that guy. You're never going to be as successful as them. And I just responded by saying, I don't care about being successful. I'm doing this because I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. This is because a lot of people's versions of having fun is like taking drugs, you know, drinking a lot, excessive amounts of alcohol, things like that. And I'm not that sort of person, you know. I just want to have fun in my own way, and that's what this is. So if anyone's negative to you, saying, oh, don't do this, don't do that, you know, things like that. Within reason, of course. I mean, definitely don't do drugs, you know, that's wrong. But like saying, if someone ever says to you, like saying you are not successful, to say to them, I don't care. You're doing what you're doing, aren't you? That's all that matters. So how do I handle haters? I ignore them completely. What does my mum think about my YouTube fame? She's all right with it, I will admit. She has asked me, I think the last time, and I'm not saying this in like a bad way, she actually said, am I still doing this? And this was actually quite recently. It was about like a couple of months ago. She actually says, am I still doing my YouTube work? And I said, yeah, I'm still doing it. It's just, you know, I needed time to do it. And obviously, if I don't have time to do it, I don't have time to do it. That's all I can say. Time is a commodity. Things like that. And she was actually quite happy that I was doing this because, like I said before, she actually said that at least you're doing something that's not like, you know, drug taking, you know, doing a lot of alcohols because alcoholism runs in the family, you know, things like that. I'm not doing anything like that to sort of hamper me, you know, things like that. I'm doing something that I feel comfortable doing, and I actually had to learn how to do this first, and she actually sort of asked me, I said, I'm trying to learn how to do this, and she said, all right, I'll leave you to it. And she's been supportive of me in her own way, you could say. And I'm, you know, she's very happy that I'm doing this. And she actually asked me the other day how many subscribers I had, and I actually said, I don't know, I'll check. And when I checked it, I said, oh, I have this many. And she actually says, oh, good on you. And not sort of punched me, but sort of like, you know, did a little pat. And I was like, thanks. You know, I wasn't like inflating my ego, but it was like, don't inflate your ego, don't. But it was like, I was happy because I've done something that this is all my work. And so yeah, my mum's definitely happy that I'm doing this. How to handle family loss, if any experience. Family loss is a very hard subject because I have had family loss. Because my dad passed away quite a few years ago, and I actually got, I'm just making sure that I've got it, but there I'll probably take a photograph of that, but yeah, I've got a tattoo of my dad's initials, date of birth and date of death on there, as yeah, because it hurt. That was like on the 5-year anniversary of it. I think that was like 2012, I think it was. Yeah, 2012 I think that was. So it's been quite, I think it's nearly been 10 years, and it hurt a lot. Because the best thing I can suggest is handling it in your own way. That's all I can say, because everyone is different. Some people might say, oh, you know, and I'm not saying this from experience, I'm just saying this from like what I've heard, things like that. You know, best example you can get is from movies. Like some people might say, oh, I'm glad he's gone, you know, he never was there for me, things like that. You know, you could be that person, or you could be one. It's like for me, it was sort of like hard because, you know, he was my dad was my go-to person for advice. Yeah, I could not, anything I needed advice on, he was the top person I'd ask. Because I even asked him for like dating advice, things like that, when I met my first, you know, before, at the time, you know, my first girlfriend, I actually asked for dating advice, and his best advice was just be you. And I actually said, but I'm, you know, I can't be me all the time. What happens if she doesn't like me? And he actually said, people prefer you being you than you being someone else. And that hit, that stuck with me. And I can't say anything other than that. When he did pass away, I sort of shut myself off from the world. When anything happened, like I said, I just shut myself off from the world. I didn't want to acknowledge anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. It was sort of like, things like that. I just wanted to be by myself. It was the hardest thing I could ever go through in life. And I know obviously in my head that's going to happen again. I know that in my head, but at the same time, it's sort of like it happened so sudden. I wasn't prepared for it. And it was something I couldn't experience. I wouldn't wish on anyone. I just would not wish that on anybody. So, how to handle family loss? Best thing to do is just do whatever you feel comfortable in doing. If you feel comfortable, like watching a film, a film you like, watch that. If you feel comfortable just listening to music, listen to music, things like that. Do whatever you feel that is comfortable in doing. So that's something I can't say, like, I can't give you guidance, like full guidance. All I can say is handle it how you feel comfortable handling it. That's it. Next question. Is there any game or games you'd like to play but can't? There is actually a few. Obviously the first one, I think there's like 3. I know there's 2 that's a definite. I mean, one of them is the Atari porn games, and I say Atari porn games because they are Atari porn games. The best obvious one that I think Legends has gone throughout the internet. If you've not heard of it, then it's understandable, but it's Custer's Revenge. That's sort of like the infamous game. That's something like that. I'd love to play that for the YouTube channel, but obviously I can't because it's involving sex and things like that, and I'd probably, a majority of the time, I'd either have to censor a good chunk of it, or I'd have to blur the whole image and just talk about it, and even then that's not much of a video, so there's not much more point of me playing it. There's a few other games that actually do the same. Like, I think there's one game, it's called Beat 'em and Eat 'em. It's sort of a variation on the game Kaboom, and I can't remember, there's so many other ones, but yeah, those 2 are the main 2 that I know of. But yeah, everyone's heard of Custer's Revenge. The second game would be GTA. I mean, best example for that would be Vice City. Mostly, and this is mostly because of the music, because Vice City has the best musical soundtrack ever. Because I actually remember, I think one day I played it. I think I spent an hour, like, there's the mission, there's my car, I parked it right there, and I think for an entire hour I listened to the whole music, because that soundtrack is the best soundtrack ever. So yeah, if I did play on Vice City, I'd have to have the music off, and even then it's sort of like, it's hard to explain, but it sort of takes you out of the game. It's sort of like you're playing the game, but you're not enjoying what the game offers, which is the music and things like that. Yeah, I think they're the main two that I know. I think there is a third one, but I can't remember which one. I can't remember off the top of my head because I think it was something like, I'm going to say the trademark games, you know, things like Disney games, things like that, because obviously copyright has become a bit of a big issue now, and a majority of the Disney games are actually based off the film itself. And obviously Disney, being the big company that it is, will be like, that's our game, you know, you're not playing it, you know, things like that. Because there was that lawsuit that happened when someone played, I think it was Double Dribble, I think it was, or Blades of Steel, one of them. And it only happened, I think it was like a day or 2 days after a Family Guy episode that had that. And Fox actually said, no, this is our product, you can't use it. So they asked them to delete the video, and it was like, no, that's not your product, that's Nintendo's product, you know, things like that. And I can't remember what happened. I think there was a lawsuit about it, but things like that. So yeah, things like that, anything that's what I'm saying. Disney, I think it's the main one to do it, and obviously Disney games high above are like the best games ever. And I say that nicely, especially like the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo ones, because it was like, you know, Aladdin and Lion King, they were the main two games. Yeah, so other than that, there's not much I could say about that. So yeah, they're the sort of main things. Yeah, so it's obviously like the Atari porn games, GTA Vice City, and Disney games that are, you know, from Disney movies. Next question. How do I know Cool Cat T? I've known him for years, and I say years because we first met at primary school. I can never remember the years because I'm that much of an idiot. I'm going to say that now. He knows how long we've been. I'm going to say like 25 plus years, things like that. We've been together. We've been that good friends, you know, things like that. We've had the occasional things. I'm not saying like we've fallen out, things like that. But there's some things like saying, I said, "Oh, this is a good film," and he said, "No, that's a bad film." I'm like, "Well, that's your opinion," you know, things like that. You know, we respected each other's opinions. So yeah, we've known each other for years, and he was the one that actually introduced me to Jaws, and that's why I love Jaws so much. Because without, you know, probably years later after I've seen that, I would have loved Jaws. And chances are I might not have actually loved Jaws. I probably watched it and I thought, oh, that was a good film, and then not acknowledge it. You know, it'd be one of those things. But yeah, I've known him for years. He's a good friend. He's a good, you know, good person to talk to. And even though we always, like, as you've seen in some of our videos, we just act like ourselves, you know, complete idiots, and that's what makes it so fun. Do I have a brother or sister? I have a brother, just one brother. He's a couple of years older than me, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I did have there was another question I had, which was, can we, you know, would he love to be in a video? Problem is, he's like me, you know, on a mentality thing, because we both have Asperger's, which is sort of like a sort of, it's hard to explain. It's sort of like autism, you know, but on a higher scale. It's sort of like the world around us we're not comfortable with. And I'm not saying that like, oh no, don't do that, things like that. It's sort of like, if something happens, our brain responds differently to others. Like if someone says to you, which I think of a good example, like stack the oranges like a pyramid, for example, but then all of a sudden you get told by a new manager, stack them by square, you know, as a square, you'd immediately, your brain would be like, well, if it happened, like, say, in a span of a week, you'd do one and you do the other, and then you see which one was easier, because obviously it was that short. But if it's happened, like, say, 5 years, for example, you've always been told stack them as a pyramid, things like that. It's understandable. And then all of a sudden you get told stack them as a cube, you know, stack them as a square. You'd be like, I've always known how to do it as a pyramid, so, you know, things like that. It's just one of those things, though, isn't it? I can't, like, fully explain it, you know, because it's hard for me to explain it because I have it myself. But it's like, best example is my YouTube thing, because I had to learn all this on my own, you know, things like that. I had to watch other people's videos. I had to watch, like, guideline videos, things like that. I had to find, you know, like, what was good, what wasn't good, things like that. Things like that. It's like my brother, he's the same. If he watches, because he mostly does art-based work, and if he did a YouTube thing, like, say, of his art, he'd have to learn how to do the YouTube thing, and he's not very computer savvy, so it's things like that. He'd have to learn a whole new skill, and he might not be comfortable learning that new skill. It's things like that. So yeah, I only have one brother. If I were added to the Smash Brothers games, what would be my final Smash? I don't know. The only one I can think of is, it'd obviously be a bit of a daft one, but the only thing I can think of is just pulling a microphone out and dropping it, and then it explodes. That's all I can think of, because it's just something so stupid. It'd be like, everyone has done the infamous mic drop, and I was trying to make sure I've got my hand in the camera there. I mic drop, boom, things like that. But yeah, apart from that, I can't actually think of all else. Can dogs look up? Yes, they can. And the reason for that is science. Because believe it or not, we've now actually acknowledged that the definition of looking up is apparently 20 degrees. So if you end up just tilting your head like 20 degrees from a flat surface, you're technically looking up. And even if you rotate your eyes upwards, you're still looking up. Doesn't matter how much you rotate them, you're looking up. So technically, just by lifting your head 20 degrees or lifting your eyes up 20 degrees, you're looking up. And dogs can easily pivot their head up beyond 20 degrees. So to answer the question, can dogs look up? Yes, they can. Which Red Dwarf character embodies you the most? I can answer that on two scales, because there's one, I'm sort of like half and half, if this makes sense, because I'm half Lister and half Rimmer. And I've got the slobbiness of Lister, but I have the composure, you know, like the drive to do this, do that, you know, make sure everything all goes through as Rimmer. But majority, I'd say I'm more of a Lister than a Rimmer. So yeah, I'm Lister. Who's the cutest girl game character? Oof, my god, that's... Oof. That is actually a tough one, that, because I've narrowed it down to two. Excuse me. And the two I've narrowed it down to, they're sort of this is going to be sound about, I'm not going to say to some people, but I've narrowed it down to either Meryl from Metal Gear Solid 1 or Catherine with a C from Catherine. I think these two are absolutely brilliant because it's like Meryl's persona is sort of like, you know, I don't like using the word, but this word, she's one of these type of people, and it sort of like matches, you know, it's like things like that, you know. I just like that sort of attitude, you know, where a woman can actually be completely badass, you know, deliver moments, iconic moments. And it was like, there was one line in Metal Gear Solid 1 that made me laugh, and it was sort of like she had a Desert Eagle, that was it. And her words were,
I'm more comfortable with it than I am with a bra.
I thought, bam, what a one-liner, you know, that was a brilliant one. And Catherine, I just think like she looks absolutely gorgeous, you know. That's it. That's all I can say about her. She's got the looks, Meryl's got the persona, so it's things like that, you know. I can't say much more than that. Next game. Best game in my opinion and worst game in my opinion. Well, obviously best game, it's different from favorite game, I'm gonna say, but that's actually a tough one, that, because best game is actually quite hard to describe. But oh, excuse me. There's a lot that can fill that category. Like obviously Metal Gear Solid, that's a good game, you know, a best game, because it has an intense storyline. Alien Isolation, that delivers a majority of horror that, you know, in my opinion, no other game can do. I'm trying to think of some others. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System, not the Mega Drive version, the Master System, because I grew up with that one. I actually thought that looked better than the Mega Drive version, you know, things like that. Games like Super Hang-On, you know, or Outrun, you know, they had the same sort of style of getting from point A to point B, something that simple. It's sort of like, hey, brilliant, you know, something simple. It's ingenious, it's fantastic, best game in my opinion. Things like that, you know, I can't say much more. I'm looking around trying to think of like other ideas. Because worst game, that's actually a tough one, because obviously the definition of, for me, worst game is something I've bought, and I'm not gonna be like, you know, the people like, say, which I think as an example, like the people that hated Duke Nukem, you know, what's it, Duke Nukem Forever, because that was my very first Duke Nukem game. I can't entirely say, oh, that was the worst game, because I have nothing to compare it to. You know, I will say it's a bad game, but I can't say it's the worst game, because all I can compare it to is that game or any other game. You know, things like that. I think easily the worst game I can answer from what I've played, and I've played the various other ones, has to be Call of Duty Ghosts, because the story was all over the place, and it was sort of like, oh, this has happened, well, surprise, other stuff happens, and it was like, what about the previous issue? What? Where did that come from? You know, things like that. You know, now you've run out of ideas how to finish that side of the story, so just fill it up with this other side of the story. Things like that, you know. I hated Call of Duty Ghosts because of that, so. And then there's other games that I could say fill that area as well, like, say, for example, Forza Horizon 3. You know, I thought that was a really bad game, because Forza Horizon 1, I thought that was a good game. That was something different from the original, you know, from the previous Forza series. But then when you got the second one, it's like, okay, you're just adding more when you should be adding less to what, you know, sort of things like that. And then when they did Forza Horizon 3, they added even more stuff to the bit that I hated. And it was like, really? Stop adding more, add less. You know, things like that. And I will admit, Forza Horizon 4, it has gotten better. But, you know, it's sort of like that. It's sort of like, stop adding more to stuff that I hate. You know, things like that. Yeah, so things like that. It's hard to actually fully describe this until you've actually played it yourself. But if I could pick, like, the best game, in my opinion, it has to have a majority of great story, great moments. Everything has to be great. And that's quite a hard thing to pick on. So it's sort of like, you know, Metal Gear Solid, Alien Isolation, Crash Bandicoot, Super Hang-On and Outrun, you know, things like that. They are all the best because they delivered something big. And the worst game easily has to be Call of Duty Ghosts or Forza Horizon 3 because I just hated them. Next question. What game are you best at? Actually quite a hard one, that, because I don't say that I'm the best at anything. But I think the biggest example I can give is, again, Metal Gear Solid, because that's the easy go-to game. Because I remember when I first played it, I actually got the good ending. And I actually remember when I did that, I had some friends and they said that they could not do this one level, which is the torture level. And when I actually said, oh yeah, I did that, I completed that, they all turned and looked at me like shocked. And I looked up and I thought, what? And they actually said, you cannot have done that. Nobody can do that. And I actually said, where are you at? And he actually said he's at the torture level. Yeah, he's at the torture level. Or I should say just before the torture level. And I said, bring your memory card and that to, you know, next time you come down, bring it to my place. You know, and he actually came by and watched me actually complete this whole thing. And he was shocked because it was like, he could never do that. He always got to like this sliver of health and then fail because it was either you'd have to hit select to back out or die. So, you know, things like that. I actually said to him, well, I can do that, and I did it, and he didn't believe me. And even then, when I did the video, the playathon video, I actually did do it again. A friend of mine that I've not seen for years actually contacted me and said he's never seen anyone do that ever. So there you go. I say, what am I best at? I'm best at doing that thing in Metal Gear Solid. And maybe all of the Metal Gear Solid. I can't do it without dying, I will admit to that. That's sort of my next big challenge, but who knows, I'll get there. I'll get there. Do I make any YouTube books? I think that's like the monetizing thing. Sadly, I do not make any of the YouTube books. Everything that I've done, you know, the channel, everything, you know, the software, the camera, the PVR thing to record it on, all of that has come out of my own wallet, you know, things like that. It's all 100% in, 0% out. Or no, other way around, sorry. 0% out, 100% out, 0% in. I'll get there in the end. Yeah, so I don't make any money, unfortunately, from YouTube. And even then, they've now changed the rules, so it's like you have to have this many. I think it's something like 10,000 subscribers. I think it was something like that, or 1,000 subscribers. I can't remember. Plus 10,000 views or something like that. But someone told me that they were going to change it again, so it's like you have to have like something like 5,000 subscribers to get, you know, monetization, things like that. And even then, I use proper music anyway, because I've just, well, I say proper music, I use the music that I find is more comfortable to use than anything else, things like that. So yeah, even then I'll probably make money off that anyway. So unfortunately, I make no money off YouTube. I should make money off work. Where do I see myself in 10 years? I would say, and I'm saying this nicely, I probably would say not on YouTube anymore. And I'm not saying that in like a bad way, things like that. I just could not see myself doing this, because right now, believe it or not, I am 32 years old. And, you know, in 10 years I'll be 42, and the chances are I might have packed this in, like, say 5 years from now, because I can't get any better than what I've done. YouTube is definitely becoming a young person's game more than an old man's game. I probably arrived too late. You know, I was born too late to actually do the best for YouTube, things like that. But it's one of those things, though, you know, if I still do this until I'm 50, I'd be happy with that. But yeah, 42, you know, 42 to 45, I could see myself, you know, it's hard to explain, because obviously I don't know what will happen in the future. I might get hit by, you know, a crippling, well, I won't say crippling disease, you know, things like that, but, you know, something might happen and it might make me think, right, I've got to end this now, or think about my health, you know, things like that, you know, or it's like, all right, this has happened, so things are going to have to stop, you know, things like that. I don't know what will happen. But if everything's acting as it is now, I don't know what will happen. I really don't. So where do I see myself in 10 years? Who knows? No idea. That's all I can say. Favorite childhood memory. I actually, yes, I'm gonna say I don't think I have one, but I do. It just came to me then. This was when I was playing in an arcade machine. The game was called Soul Blade, and my brother had played it for like, I think about a good couple of years. He actually says this was a year or a couple of years. I think it was a year at least, but he's been playing it in the arcades, and he says he's gotten very far, things like that. So then we actually did a family rule thing where I actually could play against him, and he had, like, in my mind, years of experience, and this was my very first time playing it. And we both made an agreement, you know, like, whoever wins will get to play the arcade games. So it was like, you know, versus into arcade. And I beat him on my very first go. And I didn't want to take that moment away from him. So I said, go on, Gav, you play on the arcade. And he said, no, you won. You get to play the arcade. And I thought, all right, I'll play the arcade. And I got to, which at the time, and this is me saying this because I've never played, this is the first time I've played this game. I felt like I got to the boss of the whole arcade, which was Cervantes. But what I didn't realize was he was the second to last boss. Because after you beat him, you get the boss level. And I was at him, you know, against him. I lost overall 2-1. But that was my favorite memory, because I actually got to the sub boss, if you will, on my very first go after beating my brother. And that impressed me, because I actually thought, you know, I could never have done that. I've never done anything like that before in my life. And since then, I've never thought to myself, well, yeah, it was all dumb luck, things like that. I actually thought, back then I thought that was dumb luck that I beat my brother. And as I kept, beating like this guy and then this guy and then this person, things like that, I kept going on out thinking, I'm getting good at this. And then when I lost to the end, I actually was like, in my head, I was like, give me another coin to my mum. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that because, we only had to have one game on it, and that was it. Next question. How are you so confident on the mic? I've never played the game before. I mean, what are you talking about?
Boo! You stink!
How am I so confident? I just be me. That's it. The easiest thing you can do. So obviously practice is the main thing to do, because obviously just do some practice-based things. Just even if you just like say, just talk is what it is. Say what you see, as the old saying goes. So that's what I do. Things like that. Excuse me. Yeah, that's it. If you could challenge anyone to a lip sync battle, who would it be? I'm gonna have to say I'd challenge Jared. From Pro Jared, the YouTube channel Pro Jared, you should say, because I feel like I've seen his work, things like that. Something like that would actually be quite fun. It'd be the main challenge, but if I could think of a backup challenge, it'd be Austin, who does a game channel, Peanut Butter Gamer. Those two would be even if we end up having like a three-way, triple threat duel, things like that, that'd be just sort of quite interesting. That. But yeah, I actually would challenge. Majority would be Pro Jared. I would like to challenge. I'd have to work on the songs though, but yeah, things like that. Why do you like Minecraft? Because it's. Why do I like Minecraft? It's the simplest thing to think of, because you can. It's that. I'm not just gonna say it in like a. This is not going to sound like in a bad way, but it's like this is so simple thing. It's just sort of like, why? But that's what makes it so good to me, because it's like the simplest of things. And like, you can make a game out of the entire game. It's not like, say, for example, trying to think of a good example, like say, Pac-Man, for example. Well, Pac-Man is a game in itself. That's all you can do. If the only thing you can do to make it a game within a game is to say, right, I'm going to try and get this score, things like that. That's it. But with Minecraft, it's sort of like, right, I can just either play to this level, play to this thing, do that. There's so much you can do in one little thing. It's that simple. That's why I like it. Will I do more vlogs? Yes, it's just sort of like, I don't want to do, I'm not going to say this in a bad way, but it's like, sort of like you have to pace yourself for the vlogs. Everyone always says, oh, you got to just do this, just rapid fire the vlogs. It doesn't work, because I know someone actually said I should do a vlog after work, but the problem was, I think one time I finished work, it was sort of like 4 a.m, something like that. I was absolutely tired, and unless you wanted me to actually have the lights off, the phone right up to my face, and you hear me slurring because I was that tired, unable to open my eyes, and then I nod off, and then I just wake up, like, what happened? Things like that. That's not much of a video, is it? It's just a man falling asleep. Things like that. So yeah, I just have to find the right thing to do with the vlogs, like just say, hey guys, I'm editing this video, things like that, I'd have to find the right time, place, things like that. That's all I can say. Do you call yourself an above average gamer? No, I just call myself a gamer in full. That's it, just gamer. That's all I can say, sorry. Have you ever thought about getting a bigger office? Yes, I have. But the problem is, it's sort of like I said, I have like, you know, Asperger's, and change I can't handle. So it's sort of like, if I did get a bigger office, I'd have to get a bigger office where I live, things like that. And even then, it's sort of like, it's hard to describe, you know, things like that. Like, if I did get a bigger office, where would I put it already? Because already that'd be the sort of hardest part right now. Things like that. And if I did, like, say, move out the house into another place, I'd have to like get everything all set up, and even then that's sort of, in my mind, too hard already to comprehend, because it's sort of like, I gotta set everything up how I want it to be set up. I need everything to be done this way, I need everything to be done that way, you know, things like this, things like that. And then there's obviously like the time span, because I don't want to, like, say, because I do my video editings, you know, my video editing and video recordings during the day, you know, recordings during the day and the nights, and the same for the editing. And last thing I want is like some guy, like, say, halfway through my recordings, just bashing on the door saying, shut the fuck up, you know, things like that. Because, you know, I'm trying to do my work and he's trying to get some sleep, you know, things like that. It's just, but in the end, I'm comfortable, you know, mindset, you know, in my heart, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, where I am, things like that. But I wish I did have a bigger office, I really wish. But, you know, if I ever win the lottery, then, hey, who knows, I might, you know, hey, I might actually buy my own little apartment, things like that. If you could get any retro game trending, what game would you choose? That's actually quite a hard one. And when we say trending, we obviously mean, like, say, Twitch trending, things like that, you know. Like, say, if I play the game, then someone says, oh, that's a good game, then more people play it, things like that. It actually would be a hard one, that, because, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I'd actually like to see people think than just doing something simple, you know, like, say, for example, Fortnite. I'm not a big Fortnite fan, but I found, like, oh, that got popular because it just got popular, things like that. You know, I want a game to get up for being, well, one, enjoyable, and two, sort of mentally improving the person. So the best example I can give would be something like Death Road to Canada. I'd love to see that game go up, but that's not considered retro enough. So if I use that premise, you know, Death Road to Canada, I think the only game I can think of would be what's the game called? Shoot. The Oregon Trail. That's it, the Oregon Trail. That'd be the only game I could think of to get that, because I'd love to see how many people would die of dysentery, things like that, because quite funny though. But other than that, maybe something like House of the Dead. I'd love to see that get, you know, retro trending, or even something like, I don't know, you know, something really old, something really nostalgic, you know, even like Soul Blade, for example, because that's a game I grew up with, so that would be good to see trending back, things like that. Yeah, that's it, that's all I can say for that one. Where would you like to do a travel vlog? believe it or not, there's actually quite a fair few places I'd like to do a travel vlog, and I've actually narrowed it down to like different places, and obviously each one does involve money in that lot, so we'll just say, for fairness, money no object. Like say, I could just go wherever I wanted, any time of the day, year, things like that. Where, you know, I made a travel vlog for it, where would I go? First thing obviously would be, like say, another convention, but like somewhere in America, like America's Comic Con is the big one, because I love Comic Con, and seeing one in America would be absolutely fantastic. If I could choose the place to go, it's not like, say, money no object, you know, like, oh, you're going to a Comic Con in America and it turns out it's like, say, Nebraska, things like that. It'd be like, you know, well, yeah, you know, things like that. But if I could choose where to go, it would be like New York or Los Angeles. They would be the main two I'd love to go, or even like San Diego Comic Con, because that's like everyone's go-to spot. I'd even like to do, like, for gaming conventions, example, that'd be another one, but it'd be places like RTX or Too Many Games, things like that, or even Retropalooza, because I enjoy, because each one is known for majority YouTubers, them three, so it'd be like this would be interesting to see, like, YouTubers that I follow, things like that, and hey, things like that. Another one I'd like to do would be for the motorsports side of me, which would be, main one would be Le Mans, because I like the endurance racing, and Le Mans is sort of like the biggest endurance race area, because it's a 24-hour race, and I think that would be absolutely fun. And also the other one I would like to do, sort of like, majority would be travel, but it is known for its motorsport, and that would be Monaco, you know, Monte Carlo, because that place is just absolutely iconic. And if I could choose a third one, it would have to be the racetrack Imola, just Imola, just because of nostalgia, just called personal reasons, because at Imola there is a statue dedicated to Ayrton Senna, who is my hero, you know, my racing driving hero, I should say, and sadly passed away on 1st of May 1994 after an accident, and it's his 25th anniversary. So even if I go there, like say the 30th anniversary of it, I'd still go, because I'd love to see it. And finally, final one, you know, travel vlog, it would be a WrestleMania. I don't care which one, where it is, it would be WrestleMania, because I've always wanted to do a WrestleMania, because obviously I liked wrestling back as a kid, and it's not the same now as it was back then for obvious reasons, but saying that I've been to a WrestleMania, just saying that I've been, it might not mean a lot to certain people, but to me it would actually say I've done that, I can tick that off my bucket list, you know, things like that. And if I make a travel vlog out of that, then I make a travel vlog out of it. That's all I can say. What's the most amount of money you've paid for one game? The most I've paid for one game would be about £70, and that was for a game called Legend of Dragoon. Basically, all that Legend of Dragoon is an RPG game like Final Fantasy, but in my opinion this was better than Final Fantasy because, and this is me saying this, it was more fun. But when it first came out, it was that rare already. Not a lot of stores would buy it, you know, would buy it to sell it, you know, things like that, because everyone compared it already. Even reviewers compared it to Final Fantasy, and I actually was annoyed with that at the time. And it's sort of like, you know, you can't compare one game to another game just because it looks the same. You know, it acts the same, it might do the same thing. It's not the same game. And it always annoyed me, especially like years and years later when every first-person shooting game came out was always automatically branded as a Call of Duty clone. It's like, it's not Call of Duty. Stop calling it that. And that's what really annoyed me. So, and obviously because of it being that rare, when certain shops did sell it, they would only sell it for like about more than its asking price, because it would have been, every new game would have been about £30 because it was already branded as rare before it even, you know, after it came out, because of it being hated by the masses, as you could say, it was already up to 50 quid. And I was actually like, I can't spend 50 quid on one game. But obviously years and years later have passed, I saved up a lot of money, you know, got a job, things like that. I saw it again for 70 quid and I thought, right, I'm getting it. I don't care how much it is, I wanted it, I got it, and I'm enjoying it. That's all I can say. Enough said about that, is it? What console do you regret buying? I'd have to say the one console I regret buying, it isn't an NES itself, but it's an NES knockoff, if you will. They advertised it as an NES, but it was made by a third-party company, and it just didn't work. And the game was like about, the console itself was about 40 quid. And when it didn't work, I actually complained. I said that this is not working. I've bought the game, it doesn't work, things like that. You know, none of the games are working for it. You know, I actually said this is a piece of crap, you know, things like that. I want a refund. And the company itself said they can't offer a refund, but what they can do is give me a free new console because of the other one being broken. And I said, all right, I'll have a free one, you know, as long as it works. You know, I'll have a free one as long as that works. And then that one didn't work either. So, and I could say to them, oh, I could complain about this, but I thought, no, I've already spent 40 quid on this one. They're not going to refund me for that one. The show is hell not going to refund me for a free one. And even if I did complain, I actually just said they're not going to do anything with it because it was free. So they'll blame me for it not working, things like that. And I've just responded back to saying, I actually did respond. I said, hey, just to let you know, I got the free console. I've tried to make it work. I've tried to make it work, and I actually put in capital letters the word make. And I said, but it doesn't work at all. So, you know, I'm actually just giving you a complaint to say, you know, I bought one, I got one free, neither of them work. This is the shittest company ever. And late, I can't remember how long it was. I think it was about a month later after I responded to that, the company went out of business. So, yeah, obviously I think more people complained about it not working, things like that. I can't remember what the name of the company was to save my life. So it was one, like I said, it was one of those third-party ones. So I regret buying that. And after I did that, I actually bought a proper NES, and I just wish I bought that instead of buying the knockoff. That's all I will admit to. Who would you have a YouTube war with? Obviously, I'm going to reiterate the word war here. So that was like a battle against any fellow YouTuber. And excuse me. I probably have a battle with Laserbeam, you know, Lannon, because I feel like between the two of us, we could actually have a heck of a battle. You know, make it a best of 3 war, you know, even not say make it an annual thing, you know, but make it a best of 3 war, you know. We'll go on one of his games, I'll choose one of my games, and then we'll have like a battle, a final battle in like, say, Monopoly or Uno or something like that, you know. Something fun, you know, something for both of us to actually challenge and see how well we do. Even if it's just for like a little dinky trophy you buy in like a discount store, things like that. I don't care. Yeah, so something like that. That'd be actually quite fun though, just to have a war with Lennon. Whose video would you like to be in for charity? I'd say the Achievement Hunter guys, you know, Rooster Teeth / Achievement Hunter. I'd like to be in their video, especially for charity, because they have done some charity based videos, so that's a good reason to be in one. And I don't care what I do, if it's like play a video game or just get hit in the head with like a beanball, things like that. It'd be something interesting, you know, just to say that I've done it and I've met the guys, because I look up to them. Oh, not like look up like, hey, you're my role models, things like that. I'll look up to them and be like, you drove me to do this, thank you. So things like that. Yeah, but I can't say much more than that, can I? Have you ever scrapped a video after you've recorded it? Yes, I have. Best example I can give would be an early series I did, which was the Screamathon ones. Because first one I did was just me playing a horror game, getting scared because it was on like a high level, things like that. Then I changed it into me playing a game that I hated, believe it or not. And after that, I was like, I think I did that for 2 things. I think I did a 3rd game. I can't remember which one it was, but I actually rewatched the footage, you know, before editing, and I thought this is not really good. So I ended that series. And then obviously after that, you know, have done videos where it's like everything looks alright, but then it's like the lighting's not good or the game's not good, things like that, you know. Because like best example I've done is like, say I played a video game, I played it all the way through, I've done what I talked, and then after I drew it and I watch it, and like, you know, even after I've played the game, I actually put the controller down and look and I thought that wasn't good, and delete the video and things like that. It's just one of those things, that's all I can say. Two questions left. Where do most of your ideas come from? Believe it or not, most of my ideas come from up here, because that's where a lot of the ideas come from. But if I could say it in a percentage way, about 75%, yes, we'll say 70% come from me, and 15% each. One lot comes from obviously other vids on YouTube, because I watch them and I think that's a good idea, that's a good idea, oh I like that idea, things like that. But they're like really old videos, so it's like, yeah, I don't care, things like that. And then the other end's like, some friends have suggested it, some family members have suggested it, sometimes it's just something simple, things like that. So yeah, majority of the ideas come from me, but then there's like other vids and friends, family, things like that. And final question here, have you ever rewatched any of your old videos? Yes, I have. I think because the latest one I rewatched was the what was it, the musical medley of mayhem video, I think it was. And even then it was sort of like, I can't believe that, you know, some of these ideas were absolutely funny, because it was one of those things. But yeah, things like that have happened. I've watched the old Dead Space videos, because that was used with the old recording system, and I'm like, sort of cringy because it was like, oh, I can't believe I used to do it that way, you know, things like that. And then there was like certain videos I did, it's like, oh, why did I do it like that? Why did I do that? You know, things like that. It's sort of like, if I could redo the videos, like, you know, Thanos snap them and then redo the videos all from scratch, I would do it. But yeah, that's all I can say about that one. Well, that's it for this one. Thank you for the questions. Thank you everyone for the questions. They were brilliant questions. A few I actually had to think on some of them. I had the answer straight away because there were some good questions there. Yeah, I can't say much more than that. I don't know where to end this because thank you for the questions. Thank you for watching. Probably do this again in like a few more years. Yo, that's all I can say. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again next time.